What's up, PT kids? It's Miss Jasmine here, and I am here to bring you your lesson for this week. But before we get started, you know what time it is. It's joke time. Burr, burr, burr. All right, so here is our joke for today. Why do we never tell jokes about pizza? Why do we never tell jokes about pizza? Because they're too cheesy. Boom, boom. Okay, so we have been doing our series called Jesus BFFs. And last week we talked about Jesus's best friends, who were Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And we talked about how faithful he was to them and how he showed that he was their best friend and how they showed him that they were his best friend. So today we're going to be focusing on another person in Jesus' life that shows us the example of faithfulness and why faithfulness and friendship is really important. But before we get to who that person was, you're probably wondering why I have this doll in my hand. If you know who it is, you can shout it out. See, I thought it was Dora. It's not Dora. It's actually Boo from Monsters, Inc. So Boo is going to be helping me out a little bit today. So, do you have a stuffed animal or your favorite doll? So, does your doll or stuffed animal stay on your bed like all the time? Okay, or if you did, maybe you have grown out of that phase and you don't have a stuffed animal anymore. So think about when you did. So maybe it's something you picked up in the last few years. Maybe it's something that you've had forever. So wherever it came from, however it got to you, it's always right where you need it, by your side in the middle of the night. So when I was younger, it was a purple teddy bear, and you can ask my cousins. I used to feed that bear. I used to try and give it milk. That bear became super dirty, all right? So that was my stuffed animal that was always there. So a good friend is always there too. So they don't come and go based on how good things are or what you can do for them. They are by your side in good times and bad, just as Jesus is always near us when we need him most. So a good friend is always available when their friends need them. Now, let's talk a little bit about availability, because we are human, right? So sometimes we may not actually be available at that time, but to make time, say, hey, I don't have time right now. I know you're struggling right now, but I do have time at this time. Okay. Because we want to be practical and practical means like realistic about the fact that we do have other things in our life that we're doing. And so do our best friends, right? So you will have that understanding with your best friend, but you can always make time. Okay. So do you have friends you can always count on? And can your friends always count on you? So let's ask God to help us become friends who will always be there for our best buds. So let's look at who we're going to be talking about today. So there's a famous story in the Bible about a boy who had a lot of money. He was young and reckless, and after asking his father to give him an inheritance, he ran off to the city to live life to the fullest. He made a lot of friends in the city who always wanted to hang out and party. So the boy bought dinner for everyone every night. He spared no expense, and his friends loved him for it. Then one day, the boy ran out of money. He couldn't afford the parties. He couldn't afford the nice place where he had been living. He wasn't able to pick up the check for all of his wonderful new friends. So does anyone remember what happened to those friends? If you don't remember, do you have an idea of what probably happened to those friends? So they all disappeared, and they left the boy and went out and partied without him. Not only was he completely broke, so he had no money, he was completely alone with no friends at all. So when we talk about the story of the prodigal son, so that is found in the Bible, we usually focus on the forgiveness of the father. When the prodigal son came home, his father was waiting to welcome him back. His father never gave up on him because he loved him. But there's an important lesson about friendship that's buried in this story. So real friends don't love you for what you can do for them. Like those friends that he had, those weren't really his friends. They love you for who you are. They are with you in the good times and they are with you in the bad times. They are always there and they are always faithful. So we've all have fair weather friends. Those are people who are just there in the good times, but they're not there in the bad times. But Jesus had them too. There's a moment in the gospel when many people decided following Jesus, was too hard and they had walked away. So they was like, you know what? You're asking for too much, Jesus. I'm about to peace out of here. So then there was John. John was one of the first disciples Jesus called to follow him. And after Jesus was arrested, tried, and sentenced to death, John was the one true friend who stayed near him until the very end. So we find this story in John chapter 19, verse 25 through 27. We're going to see how John showed that he was a faithful friend. So it says, by standing by the cross of Jesus, where his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene, when Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to his mother, woman, behold your son. Then he said to the disciple, behold your mother. And from that hour, the disciple took her to his own home. Okay. So not only was he at the cross, he took care of Jesus's mom. So our main point is this. Jesus had hundreds of people who followed him during his ministry. Only a handful of people made it to the cross, including Mary Magdalene and John. John was the only one of the 12 disciples who never left his side. Jesus asked John to take care of his mother because he knew he could count on John. John took Mary into his home because he knew if he had asked Jesus for anything, Jesus would have done it as well. So true friends are there for you and on your best days and on your worst days. They celebrate the good times. They mourn with you and cheer you up in your bad times. Friends do not come and go as they please. They are always loyal, always faithful, and always there when you need them most. Okay? So let's conclude our lesson and then we're going to play a quick game, okay? So I want you to think about a bad day that you've had this last year. Think about what made it a bad day. Okay, you got that in your mind? Now think about who was there. Was your family there to lift you up? What about a friend? A friend who is there on bad days, who doesn't just leave and then come back when things get better, is a true friend. If you have a friend like that, thank God for that special friend. Friends like that are a gift from God. We need to thank God, and we need to thank our friends who are there for us anytime we need them. Now, here's the real challenge. When was the last time you were there a good friend to them? Were you there for them when they were in need? Are you a friend who only comes around in the good times? Do you go where the fun is and run from the bad? Or are you the kind of friend who writes a note to a friend that is down? Do you send them gifts, tell them jokes, listen to their problems, and try to make them smile? Do you pray for them? Do you pray with them? Do you stand by their side no matter what? So John was a special kind of friend to Jesus. When the other disciples ran, afraid for their lives, John followed Jesus. He watched Jesus before the Sanhedrin. He heard the crowd tell the governor Pontius Pilate to crucify him. He watched Jesus carry his cross through the streets. He watched the soldiers nail Jesus to the cross. He watched Jesus die. John set an example that is not easy to follow, but by God's grace, we can be friends who are always there for the people we love. And it's really hard to see someone you love go through something so tough, but he didn't try to talk Jesus out of it. He knew it was something he had to do, but he decided to be by his side through it all. A true friend would not have left the prodigal son. He would have welcomed the boy into his home. He would have walked with him back to his father's house. He would have been there to rejoice with when the prodigal son was reunited with his loving father. A true friend is always there for a friend. So let's ask God to fill our hearts with his love so that we can be true friends like John. Okay, so before we close, we're going to play a quick review game of our lesson today and see how many answers you can get right. All right, so question number 1. How many disciples did Jesus have? Was it 3? Was it 7? Or was it 12? You're right. It was 12. Ding, ding, ding. All right, our next question. How many disciples were at the cross? Was it 1? Was it 3? Or was it 12? See if you can remember from our story. Ding, ding, ding. Yes, it was 1. Who was John? So who did Jesus ask John to take care of? Was it his followers, his mom, his other disciples? So once again, was it his followers, his mom, his other disciples? Who did Jesus ask John to take care of? Right. Ding, ding, ding. His mom. All right. 2 more questions. True friends are people who are only there in the good times, are with us in good times and bad times, skip out when things are bad for us. So once again, true friends are people who are only there in the good times, are with us in the good times and the bad times, skip out when things are bad for us. Ding, 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 right. They are with us in good times and bad. All right, our last question. A true friend is blank there for others. So a true friend is never there for others. A true friend is sometimes there for others. Or a true friend is always there for others. Yeah, you got it right. Ding, ding, ding. Always there. A true friend is always there for others. Good job. I hope you guys got those all right. So before we close, we know that we say a special prayer. So we talked about Jesus having a best friend, and that shows that we should also have people in our lives that are our best friend. It doesn't have to be someone that's not our family. It could be a cousin. It could be a sibling, could be your best friend, but it's someone who's there for us, someone we can count on. But we also want to be someone that they can count on. So the first step that we always say is we need Jesus's help, right? We need Jesus's help to be good friends, but we also need Jesus to bring us good friends, because we said that a best friend is a gift from God, right? So for us to start on that journey, we first need to ask for salvation, and that is believing that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, that he died and rose again and is coming back. And we believe that in our hearts. So all you have to do is just say this prayer after me and you will be saved, all right? So, dear Jesus, forgive me of my sins. I believe you died and rose again. Come into my heart. In your name I pray. Amen. That's it. So if you feel like, you know what, I don't have a best friend, this was a really tough year to make friends. I don't have the same friends that I did when I was younger, because, you know, you missed a couple of years face to face due to the pandemic. Yeah. So it wasn't the same friends that you had, but you can always pray to God, and you can tell him exactly what's on your heart, and you can let him know, like, can you please bring me a really good friend that I can count on, and someone I can be a good friend to, and God will do it. Promise, God will do it. So I hope you enjoyed our second week of our series, Jesus BFFs. I have another lesson for you, but until then, I will see y'all next time. Bye. Bye.